All right, so to start learning about point slope form, we have this situation that we're going to analyze. Leo knows that the slope of a line is -4. So that's one piece of information we know. You can underline it. And the line passes through the point -7, 18. Without doing any calculations, can Leo easily write an equation for the line in slope-intercept form? So we want to do it in slope-intercept. Why or why not? Record your thoughts. And the answer is no. He can't write it in slope-intercept form because to write it in slope-intercept form, Leo needs a slope, which we do have. We know the slope, -4. But the second part we don't know. And a y-intercept. Remember that point where it crosses the y-axis? We don't know that point. So we can't write the equation in slope-intercept form, basically. So let me just add, we don't know the y-intercept. So we don't know the y-intercept. Okay. So what we're going to use is this new format, point slope form. And this is what it looks like here. So point slope form is another formula for the equation of a line, which is easily written when you know the slope, m, so we're going to use m as the slope, and a point on the line. So the missing word here is a point. So we need two things. We need to know the slope, and we use m for that, and a point on the line. And for the point, we're going to use x1 and y1. So as you can see, we know the x, we're going to put an x1 and a y1. I highlighted those in green. And we're going to need to know the slope. And those are two very easy things to find usually. So that's why we're going to do it that way. Okay. So let's just write down what these things are. M is the slope. So write down slope there. And we'll just plop that number right in there. And then x1 is the x coordinate. The x coordinate. And y1 is the y coordinate. That'll go there. So literally all we're going to do for some of our assignment today is take three numbers and put them in certain locations. Okay? So you guys ready? Because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write in point slope form, given a point on the line and the slope of the line. So let me show you how easy this is. Write down this with me on number 1. Put this y Then after that, a minus sign. Leave a space. Then after that space, put an equal sign. Leave a space after that equal sign. Open parentheses. X minus, leave a space, close the parentheses. So you're leaving a space here, here, and here. Okay? Now, what we have is 8, 3. This is your x1. This is your y1. And this is your slope. Because it says m equals 1/4. So we have a point at 8, 3 that crosses the line. And the slope of the line is 1/4. Okay? So now let's go ahead and look at our model. First point location I usually fill is the slope. Our slope is 1/4 and it goes right here. So in front of those parentheses, put the number 1/4. Okay. Now we're going to work on our x1 and y1. x1 is 8. And we're going to look for it. It goes right there behind the minus in the parentheses, right there. So put the number 8 right there. Okay. And now we're going to locate y1. And y1 goes behind the y minus right there. So x tells you where to put the x coordinate. Y tells you where to put the y coordinate. And that's going to be 3. And that's it. That's the equation in point slope form. Y minus 8 equals 1/4 x minus 8. I'm sorry, y minus 3 I said. Should have said. Any questions? Okay, let's do another one. About the only thing that's going to get a little confusing or different is when we have a negative like this, -6. So let's go ahead and x1, y1, and our slope. And we're going to do the same thing. Y, take away, space, equal sign, space, close parentheses, open parentheses, x minus space, close parentheses. Okay? All right. Like I said, the first thing I usually locate is the slope, and it goes right there in front of the parentheses. And right there, we'll put the number -2 because that's our slope. Okay? Now, let's put the x1 coordinate. Where does that go? Behind the y or behind the x? Where does this number -6 go? Behind the x. See? Yeah, it goes here. Now, it's negative. Be careful, guys. It's negative. And this is minus. What does a negative always make? A positive. So that's how you get your addition. Okay? When this is negative, that becomes plus. And then that number. That's the only tricky thing. Okay? And then the y value is 12. It goes behind the y, and it stays -12 because it's a positive 12. And there you go. Y minus 12 equals -2, x plus 6. Any questions? That's the only tricky thing here. Okay, let's try this one again. This has two negatives, -2 and -11. So we should have two plus signs. Let's check. x1, y1, our slope is 5/2. Okay? Let's fill it in. Y minus space, equal sign, space, open parentheses, x minus space, close those parentheses. Okay? And let's start with the slope. By now, we should all know the slope goes here. And just plop that slope number in, 5/2. Okay. X1. Do we notice it's negative? So when I go over here, how am I going to write that? Positive 2. So make it plus 2. Same thing with the y value. It's negative. So when I put it in right here, that becomes positive also, plus 11. And that's it. We just wrote the equation in point slope form. Given the point, negative 2, negative 11, and given the slope, 5 over 2. We'll be doing some more stuff with this over the week. Like tomorrow, we'll be graphing these. But today, that's the main part of what we'll be doing. Okay. Let's try this one. And then I'm going to have you do these three, A, B, and C. All right, so here we go. This time, do you notice a 0 there? Yeah, zeros are always interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave some space. I'm going to write my first attempt at the equation a little higher up. Okay, so I'm going to put it right there, right along here, leaving some room to rewrite it underneath. So notice how I'm going to write it. Y minus space equals space x minus space. Okay. So let's start with the slope. It goes right there. What number do I write there? What's my slope in this line? 9. 9 goes there. Okay. Now I go on to x1. That's the number 1. It's positive, so I don't flip the sign. It stays x minus 1. Same thing with 0. 0 goes here. And it's neither positive nor negative, so I just minus 0. But let's think about that 0. How can I simplify y minus 0? Just y. It's like it doesn't exist, so we don't need to write it. So I actually can do, oops, I put it in the wrong location. Okay, let me try again. So instead of y minus 0, I'm just going to put y equals 9 parentheses x minus 1. That's another way of writing it. On today's assignment, you're probably good either way, but just know that this is the same thing, okay? And that's because of the 0. All right. So I want you to notice something. I think you already have. It says, explain how your equations were affected by the sign of the ordered pair values, positive or negative. So in other words, when your ordered pairs were like in example 1, both positive. So if they were positive, if either one was positive, okay, what was the operation in front of it? Adding, subtracting, when x and y were both positive. Yeah. So that was subtracting. And when either x or y were negative, what operations did we have in front there? Wasn't subtracting, it was adding. So when you had a negative, you had adding. Okay. So that's the observation we want to make there. When your numbers are positive, it's minus, like minus 12. When your numbers are negative, it's addition, like plus 6. Okay? Any questions? Okay, so what I'd like you to do with your partner, do A, B, and C. Okay? Go ahead and try it on your own, please. A, B, and C from scratch. Okay, so these are the answers you should have gotten for A, B, and C. And we're moving on to graphs. So it says write an equation for each graph in point slope form. So here's the deal. We want to write the equation down here in point slope form, just like this. But we're going to read some information off the graph. We need to know a point. And we need to know the slope. So those are the two pieces of information we're going to get off the graph. And how many points does a graph have? Well, to draw the graph, we need a minimum of 2. But how many points exist on this line? An infinite amount. So we got a lot of points to choose from. So in order to kind of keep this kind of the same for all of us, let's pick the same point. We'll do -7. Let me try to find that point. -7, 5. So I'm going to darken in that point right now. I know, we're all going to take this point here as the point we're going to write for the point. Because we could pick any different point and we would all be correct, but that would just take too long to check. So we're all going to pick the point -7, +5. Let's write that here. -7, 5. Okay, so you go 7 to the left and 5 up. And now we need a slope. So we're going to use rise over run to find that slope. And I believe this point right here at -5, 2 would work. I'll darken in the point for you in just a bit. Okay, let's do those 2 points. -7, 5, and then -5, 2. And let's use rise over run. Will this slope be positive or negative? What do you think? Yeah, it's going downwards. It should be negative because we go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 2. So that means our slope is -3 over 2. Okay. So now we have enough information to write this equation in point slope form. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that. Y minus space equals space parentheses x minus space. Let's write this equation. And we'll start with the slope, -3 over 2, goes right here. So the slope goes there. Let's go on to the x value. It's -7, so how do we write it here? Yeah, +7. And then 5, so -5. Okay, so that's the equation of this line. Y minus 5 equals -3, 2, x plus 7 in parentheses. Any questions? Okay, let's try this one. Let's pick a point. Right here looks like a good one. So let's use, what are the coordinates for this point? 3, 6. Be careful. It looks like we're counting by 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12, etc. So our point is going to be 3, 6. We're all going to use that point. Okay. Now we just have to figure out the slope. So let's see here. Let's find another good point. It looks like we found another one here at 518. Okay, so I'm going to go up, then across. We want to be careful because we're counting by threes each time. So I know, even though we only go up 4 spaces, how much is that climb? Let's count by threes and figure it out. 3, 6, 9, 12. Thank you. A few of you told me 12 ahead of time. So that's 12. And looks like on the x-axis, we are just counting by ones. So 2 spaces is still just 2. So it's 12 over 2. What does that simplify down to? 6 ones. It's really just 12 divided by 2, right? So we could just simplify that down to 6. So let's use 6 as a slope, not 12 over 2. Let's write it now. So I'd like you to try on your own. Take this information, 3, 6, and a slope of 6, and then write the equation in point slope. Okay. And hopefully this is the answer you got. Y minus 6 equals 6 parentheses x minus 3. Okay. So we got one last graph to do. Okay. Let's flip it over to the other side. And it's this one. And as you can tell, they've already given us 2 points to use. So I want you to use this point here for your coordinates. And that's going to be -5, -3. So let's use -5, -3. And now use rise over run. You can rise over run to this other point they gave us. Or you can just pick another closer point if you like. I'm going to just go ahead and do that one. I'm going to use that for the slope. Okay. So let's see. Looks like we go up 4. And then across 8. So I get 4/8. I know I can reduce that. Because 4 goes into 4, and 4 goes into 8. So that would reduce down to 1/2. So let's use 1/2 as our slope. Okay. So let's write down this equation. Y, since it's negative, plus 3 equals 1/2 parentheses x, since it's negative, I don't write minus -5, I just write +5. Okay? So there's my equation. Y plus 3 equals 1/2 x plus 5. Now the rest of this we'll do tomorrow. Okay? Tomorrow we're going to learn how to take an equation of point slope and figure out what's the point, what's the slope that's in there. And then we're actually going to be graphing them. Okay, so for right now, let's go to IXL. Open up your Chromebooks. Yeah, go ahead.